high-profile murder trial is set to continue Monday after an emotional first day in court for the Arbery family. Prosecutors accuse 3 Georgia men of killing 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery on the basis of a racially charged assumption that he was a burglar. The defendant's lawyers say they acted in self-defense, and the decision will come down to a jury that is almost entirely white. Criminal defense attorney Page Pate joining me now to give us some legal analysis. Paige, so good to see you. Let's start with the jury. Out of the 12 people, 11 of them are white. How is that possible in a case like this where racial prejudice is at the core?
Well, Frederica, it was almost inevitable to come out like this, really, because if you are a black person, it was so much harder to get through jury selection in this case. The lawyers were questioning them very intensively about, do you know anyone connected to Ahmaud Arbery? Have you discussed his case in the community? Have you read social media posts? So by the time they got to a pool of qualified jurors, people who said, look, I know about the case, but I still have an open mind, it was 25% at that point African American. So you still could have an almost representative jury of this community, which is about a third African American. But then the defense struck 11 out of 12 African Americans from the jury because presumably they want a jury that looks like their clients. And here we have 3 white men who are accused of this murder. And I think how you perceive this evidence is going to be critically important. And for the defense, this is the jury I think they wanted.
Then it also sounds like you've just set the stage for a pretty good argument to have a change of venue because this area was so saturated with coverage, and because it's a small town and it's likely that someone knows somebody who was involved in this case. Why wasn't there a greater push to change the venue?
Well, that's a great question. Normally, to change the venue, it's got to come from the defense, because the idea is the defendants are entitled to a fair trial. It's a Sixth Amendment right. So if you think you're not going to get a fair trial, you file a motion to change the venue. But we saw this defense team do exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted this trial here. They thought that the demographics would favor them. They thought there was a possibility that people in the community had heard about their clients or had some favorable impression of their clients. And so now the jury that they're left with are people that do have some familiarity, not just with the facts of the case, but they've seen this video and they don't believe this was murder. So when you think about that and the evidence that we've seen, it's almost incredible to believe there are people that have that impression, but those are the people that are serving on this jury.
And the video, as you mentioned, is very graphic. It was hard for Ahmaud Arbery's mom to watch it, but at the same time, she says she felt like she needed to see it. As difficult as it was, there were jurors who actually put their head down, covered their eyes because it was difficult for them to see. So this is going to be impactful. This is probably the most critical, most important piece of evidence, is it not? And is there a way in which to discern which way the jury will ultimately go just by their visceral reaction to seeing it?
Well, it's a very difficult video to watch, but it is critically important that we have this video. I don't think there's any doubt that without this video, there would be no trial. There would be no prosecution. As you may recall, this shooting happened months before these people were arrested and charged, and that only happened once the video was released, because most people, when they saw this video, they said this is murder, and these people need to be arrested, put in jail, and put on trial. So the state is going to focus on this video. They played it some during their opening statement. Their first witness talked about it. I bet they're going to have almost every one of their witnesses talking about the video because it is so impactful. It is visceral. That's going to be the reaction of the jury. It's a very strong piece of evidence.
All right, Page Pate, good to see you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Frederick.